Good morning and welcome to the Pitchline Chronicles. I am Uncle Tats. I am here with Rob, and we had what some would call a Subway Series. I was referring to it the other day as the Circus Series because the way that these two teams were playing, there really was no juice to the matchup between the Mets and the Yankees. And going into Queens, it's almost like it's still the same as a home game because there weren't a good balance of fans that did show up, and I think it was evident throughout the games, depending on who had the upper hand. In the first game, we had Severino. And I want to touch on him because it was one of those that it could have gone so horribly wrong, and you think that he's not even going to get out of the third inning with the way he was throwing. His pitch count was just climbing up and up and up. He still was able to grit out a pretty decent outing once he was able to get his bearings. But the fact that his stuff is just really not all there yet, is this a little concerning going forward?
Yeah, he didn't look good at all. There was no reason to push him that extra inning, or at least try to push him an extra inning. He's looked terrible his last 3 starts now, and he looked really good to start things off, which is upsetting because he looked great, looked good, and now he's looked just unusable. And you can't give up 5 runs like that. He's getting tagged. It's the way he's getting hit. If he was giving up like dink and dunks, you're like, he's just getting unlucky. He's getting blasted. Like everything's 100 plus off the bat against him. His fastball, they're not swinging and missing despite the fact that he's hitting 98. It's just straight, and he's getting touched up every single time out there. First pitch, like what was the first at bat? First pitch to Nimmo after we take a 1-0 lead in the first game, he gives it right back. So you're like, you don't see any signs that he's going to be able to turn it around right now. And maybe you think about a phantom IL stint just to see if there's something that there's there's something wrong, or you just kind of have to go into the film and see what he's doing. Like someone broke it down on Twitter the other day that he's starting differently, he's standing up differently, he's delivering differently. Maybe that's it. I don't know if he's trying to not get hurt again by this delivery because the velocity's there, but everything else isn't. And if you're throwing 98 straight, today's game, you're going to get hit. And he's getting tagged by a Mets offense that has really been struggling. And on the other side, Scherzer did the same thing against us. We touched him up. But it's concerning with Sevy because he used to be able, all right, every time he gets the ball, you feel like he's going to give you a good start. 6 innings, maybe more, give up 3 or less, could have a chance to win. He's given up 4 or 5 runs in the first 2 innings. And against Scherzer, usually that means you're going to lose that game.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate we came back and won that game. But Sevy, it's been 3 straight starts now where he just doesn't have it.
Yeah, when you put the pitching matchups, side by side from the series, when you get Severino and Scherzer, and then Verlander and Cole, you weren't expecting the offense, more so in the first game, to kind of have the game that they did, especially with our lineup. It really didn't make sense. Scherzer's stuff he also went flat the second time through the order, and that's how they were able to kind of gain some ground. But if Scherzer's on, that game's over. But on Twitter, there's a Twitter handle, Johnny Lasagna, that pointed out the graphic of Severino's delivery prior to the injury to now, and it shows that his delivery coil is a lot stiffer now. Where in the past it was, he had more of a fluid delivery. And Pete Simonetti on All Rise show yesterday pointed it out very well. It's the velocity was there. He was getting into the high 90s. I think now it makes me wonder, because of him having so many injuries, is he trying to adjust his delivery where he's not, he's afraid to get a little loose and re-injure something? Is that something that could be thought of as a concern?
Just say that. I feel like I said, I don't know, maybe I lost myself in my rant there about him, but I feel like I brought that up. Yeah. I think he is. There's no other reason for it because his delivery's been essentially the same since he got here. But now it's clearly different.
No, I think we both kind of made the same point in different words, or posed the same question differently. But no, I think his delivery is definitely a concern. I think they really need to work on it. And I want to also touch on this. Speaking of delivery, why the hell do we have a hitting coach when all you needed was a teammate over dinner to go, hey, you know what, you kind of
Tats. Let's not forget what they were eating. It's very important. It was the chicken parm. Don't overlook what they were eating. One of the most delicious dishes you will ever have in your life. And I know we're both Italians here. Well, I don't know. I think you're Italian, right? Yes. We speak as Italians, fake Italians, because we're not real Italians, but New Yorkers. Try chicken parm if you haven't tried it, and maybe you'll start hitting a baseball. Just saying.
Yep. No, it really. I'm like, they really need. Yeah, the chicken parm should be in the clubhouse, Jonathan. You're right, but I'm like, how does we were seeing the difference. Everybody was seeing a teammate that he's not even playing with on the same team was able to figure out what was going on. But Lawson is like, no, I don't look at the numbers. He's so disconnected from it because it's not just one guy and they're just not figuring out what's wrong. And it's not just Volpe, the whole team. They're all, I understand they want to give a little trust to Rizzo and Donaldson and Stan, and these are veteran guys, that they should be able to fix themselves. But you're there as a coach to coach. How about you get off your ass and start working with these guys to figure out if it's just the slightest little thing. Is it, sometimes, we've all played baseball, whether we were good at it or not. If your foot is just a little bit off from your, you're not getting the same follow through. It's like small things like that, I think, are not being looked at deeply enough to address any issues or changes that they might not even realize they're making.
We have 3 hitting coaches. We have a hitting coach and 2 assistants, and Randy Wilkerson, who I'm convinced is just an evil clone of Aaron Boone. It's ridiculous that Austin Wells is sitting at their house. He and Austin Wells are at Austin's house, or was it Volpe's house? Doesn't matter. They're eating chicken parm. They're watching tape, and they go, oh, look, you're doing that differently. And he immediately has 3 hits after that. And he hadn't been hitting the ball at all for like a good month plus, maybe even longer. And you're thinking, how in the world do 3 hitting coaches not pick up on that? And that's what's, I think, we're kind of making a joke about. It's like, oh, chicken parm, Italian power, and all that stuff. It's very, very disappointing and kind of pathetic that a double-A hitter. Now, I love Austin Wells, and I hope he's on the major league roster sooner than later. But the fact that he noticed this and Volpe noticed this before 3 hitting coaches were able to pick up on this, and all they say is hit strikes hard. And I don't know if it was Wilkerson or Lawson that said, well, Volpe's hitting 200, but he's hitting a professional 200. He's not hitting. His at-bats don't look professional. He looks like a guy that's trying to find his way. And there's nothing wrong with that. We get it. We knew there was going to be those struggles with him. But the fact that it took his old double-A teammate to be like, hey, try that. You know what? You're right. And 3 hitting coaches couldn't figure this out. Our entire analytical team, that there's no other team in baseball that has as many people as we do that are watching these tapes and figure out these numbers. Nobody could pick up on that. Meanwhile, Donald broke it down the other day. We were talking about it before. His swing looks a little bit different. People on Twitter, and I give a lot of crap to people on Twitter, but everyone was saying something looks different about Anthony Volpe. And none of our major league hitting coaches could see that. It's very, very alarming that this is the staff we have.
Yeah, those coaches should be embarrassed to collect that paycheck. A simple adjustment like that, they couldn't freaking see. I mean, come on now. It's just a joke. It really is. It's almost one of those, once you're hired, you can't be fired. And they think that they're invincible, yet they're not. Because, you know, if they don't do their job and this team completely falls apart and fails, Bone is going to be, if they move ties from Bone, they're gone too because the new manager is not going to keep that staff. You know, it's such a trickle down effect with this coaching staff and what the adjustments they're not making. You know, why can't they just take a page out of Matt Blake's book? Matt Blake, is he perfect? No, but you can see when pitchers come over here. Like Holmes, I think is a good example. Somebody that did not have the best numbers with the Pirates. He came over here just with a high ground ball rate, and look at what he's turned into. And Holmes has not had the best. Like if his sweeper, slider, cutter, whatever the hell they want to call it now, is not working, you're actually seeing that the work that Matt Blake has done with Holmes and the other guys in the pen trying to help him out, Holmes has looked a lot better. He's made the adjustments. He's taken the advice of the coaches and his teammates, and Holmes has been pretty effective. How long will it last? I don't know. Because it is Holmes. He does have that track record now with us, where it just goes up and down throughout the season. Maybe Matt Blake should make him the pitching coach, the hitting coach, the manager. Just give him everything.
I'd give Austin Wells the hitting coach job at this point. Like I don't get it, and I don't want to keep sounding negative because we know this team is going through a funk right now, especially with Judge hurt. But that's still very embarrassing to me that 3 hitting coaches, 3 of them, and not one of them said we got to look at why our phenom rookie. This is a guy that, look, I know the pressure was on Volpe already, but he had to be good. He's not saying he had to be generational. He had to be Jeter, but he had to be good because we passed up on Seager. We passed up on Correa and Simeon and all these different shortstops. We passed up on trading him for different players in the past. He had to be good. And I'm willing to be patient for that to be a consistent thing where he's starting to hit the ball consistently, going the other way, pulling it down the line. We know his speed is ridiculously good. He's got pop. He's going to be a good player. It's more of a question of when, not if. But the fact that they knew he had to be good and they saw him struggling the way he was and they just said, keep doing it, and didn't think maybe we should look at something. What got you here? What got you to the dance? And they didn't even think to look at that. Like, why is it June 15th today? And is it June 15th, June 14th? Why did it take till the middle of June for a former teammate in AA to say you're doing something differently? And for Volpe to be like, you know what, you're right. Why did nobody else in this organization pick up on that? That's embarrassing. And they should be embarrassed. But you know what? Even if they did replace Boone, one of those guys would take his place. That's the issue until they found the replacement. And we're going to be stuck with this kind of mediocrity from the staff for a long time.
Yeah, no. If they do, I don't see the Yankees if they ever got to that point where they were done with Boone. I don't see it being during the season. It would have to be they would have to fall significantly under 500 before the All-Star break, for them to make a change like that. Where they would bring in a new manager and just go on to a sale and just start maybe hit the reset button for next year when these prospects are more developed. We're on the fence so badly right now. There's no way to see which direction this year is going at this point. And that makes me very nervous because of the potential of these prospects. I don't want them panicking and selling them all off like that, like history shows, for players that are either at the end of their prime or past it, because they have a marquee name, which is how we ended up with Donaldson in the first place. We don't need more Donaldsons. We need more Perazzas.
We need a Gio Urshela, and guess what? We had him. We could use a Gio Urshela right now. We could use a Gary Sanchez right now, for crying out loud.
How sad is that?
It's the thing that people want to bring up, and it was a big topic yesterday because some guy who claims he knows baseball said the Yankees treated Aaron Hicks poorly. No, they didn't. First of all, no, they didn't. We, the fans, treated him poorly,
Yeah.
absolutely. But the Yankees gave him every opportunity. And good for him. He's finding success in Baltimore. How long will it last? It's been 10 games. We saw him go over hot stretches last year. It can go away like that. It's Aaron Hicks. So let's calm down with that the Yankees treated him poorly. They gave this guy opportunity after opportunity. But it is something to keep in mind that even if it's for a couple of weeks, we saw Gallo last year in L.A. He went to L.A., he started hitting. And the coaches said, hey, you're doing something different. When he went at the start of the season, he was boiling hot, but now he's back to hitting below 200, just a home run or nothing guy. There's got to be something with our staff that we can't unlock things in certain players. Like why is – and Rizzo's one thing because his slump has been going on for too long right now, and I still think that neck is a problem. Yeah. They just don't want to say it. But everybody's struggling, with the exception of like 3 guys. And the fact that we're not calling up Peraza right now is annoying. It's annoying because the other day, Hal Steinbrenner said like, oh, there's only so many spots for so many players. You're paying Josh Donaldson $25 million to hit 170 or whatever he's hitting. And if he's not hitting a home run, he's not hitting at all. Like that's the issue. Like I love the home run ball, but when you're getting paid $25 million, I expect you to at least hit 230. Is that so much to ask to hit 230, 240? Get on base a little bit more. He's doing nothing.
Yeah, John. 130 he's batting right now.
It's even worse than I said. It's 40 points lower. It's bad. Yeah, and the fact that they're not giving Peraza a shot, he's just rotting away. Pitch facing the same AAA pitching he's been facing all year and killing it. Call him up. You're showing the trust in Volpe every single day. Show it in Peraza. There's no reason we have to keep watching Jake Bauers every day. And I like Jake Bauers. I think he's doing a good job. But he shouldn't be starting every single day. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, he should not be starting every single day. Josh Donaldson should not be starting every single day. Gleyber Torres should not be starting every single day with the way he's been playing. Get Peraza up here. You can make it happen. You really can, and they just don't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, even if, I'm looking at this comment from Sunil, sending Rizzo to the IL, I don't know if that's the answer, but the one thing that would solve is you could if you put Rizzo on the IL, here's how it could work. You still have LeMahieu, who's starting to kind of show signs of life again. You move him to first base. You bring up Peraza. You have Donaldson as a DH, to play along with Stanton. So Stanton, can kind of get himself back. It's not like he's tearing the cover off the ball either. He had the home run in the first game, but then yesterday he goes over. And you let Peraza, let him play third base.
They can play him at third. They can play him at second. They can play him at short from time to time. It's all about Stanton getting in the outfield eventually. I don't know when he's going to be ready to do it. Hopefully soon, but they don't even have to IL Rizzo. I feel like he can break out of it. If they feel like he's okay, then who are we to say he's not 100%? I don't think he's 100%, but I do think he's obviously capable of playing because he's been playing. He's just playing terribly. His average has dropped to 266. His OPS is below 800. He was hitting 330 for crying out loud, something like that. So it's a big drop off. But again, when an entire lineup is slumping at the same time, it's difficult for one player to try to carry the load. And I feel like Rizzo's trying to do that, but we need him to step up. We need Stanton. And we've said this every single day since Aaron Judge has been hurt. We need these guys to step up. They haven't done it. And even going back to Jake Bauers, I know he's hit some home runs and all that, but he's not an outfielder. Look at him and that play last night. Couldn't catch up to the ball.
Yeah.
A regular outfielder probably Judge gets to that. Bader can get to that.
Yeah. Well, Bader, I think they said will be back Friday, which is a breath of fresh air. But who knows for how long, because he's been, everybody, and I like Bader. I'm not trying to knock him. But a lot of people are like, oh, well, when Bader comes back, yes, we know what happened the first time there was a little bit of a spark. You cannot always you cannot bet that lightning will strike twice. You don't know if he's going to give you that spark again. We want him to, absolutely. But I think we're putting too much on the short amount of play, as positive as it's been on Bader, he's not a guy that's going to carry the team. He can rally a team, but I don't think he's that type of player to carry a team like a Judge would be. When Judge comes back, he can carry the offense. Bader's not that type. He's just going to rally everybody. So I think that I'd be careful with all the the pressure and the expectations of Bader. But like you said, I'm watching that game last night. I looked over at my coworker and I'm going, Judge makes that 9 times out of 10. Where you're watching the ball and it looks like he had no idea the trajectory of the ball. I think he thought it was out and just never even. I think he got a late jump on it. I think he thought that was a no doubt, and then he's like, that ain't going out. And he tried catching up to it, but that's what you get with replacements. You got players out of position. How do you think the Yankees were able to scrap a run last night? They had an inexperienced first baseman that was having trouble scooping the ball. So when you play players out of position or who are not ready for that position, you're gonna see plays like that, and that's where the injuries come back and bite you in the ass.
Yeah. The fact that our runs came from I know Bowers had a hit and all that, and we got the stolen. IKF stole home, but again,
cool to see.
It was really cool to see, but again,
so it's rare, and
Yeah, but we're scraping runs across in ways that this lineup shouldn't be because you still have 4 of your best guys. Torres didn't play last night until he pinched hit, but you still have Stanton, you still have Rizzo, you still have LeMahieu, you still have Donaldson even. He's supposed to be one of your best guys. I know it's against Verlander, but you got to be able to put up. You got to back up Garrett Cole. He was throwing a perfect game until like the 5th inning, I think, 4th inning. So get something for Verlander's been bad this year, and naturally, when he's going against this lineup, he's just back to his old self because he always finds a way to kick our ass. But I mean, look, even with Bader coming back, it's good to see him back because the last time our offense did get better, but it wasn't until Judge got back that things started to pick up because even with Bader, without Judge, we're still the worst offense in baseball. We still have the least amount of runs per game without Aaron Judge. And it's a simple stat. And I know they don't care about stats, according to Dylan Lawson, but there's a stat for you. So until we get him back in this lineup, it might be more of the same. I'm hoping that Bader just adds more length to the lineup so that a guy like Rizzo and LeMahieu can start hitting more, and even Stanton, because we didn't have Stanton last time when Bader came back. So hopefully those two can play off each other well, but we need it because I don't want to see IKF and Bowers in the outfield every single day. I really don't. And I know everyone's riding IKF's tail right now for that steal, but I don't want to see him in the lineup every day. I don't want to see Bowers every day. McKinney's killing it right now, but that could go away in a flash. So we need Bader.
Yeah, we already saw it with Frenchie. It's the same thing with McKinney. He's kind of playing with a little bit of fire in him, but every fire eventually will go out. And it just depends on how long it takes for it to come up. And Jonathan, Pereira's on the 40-man roster. I just don't think that they want to pull the trigger on him just yet. I think it's going to be a little bit of a wait before we see Pereira come up.
He's not ready.
You're not going to see him this year.
He's not ready. You probably won't even see him next year. You'll probably see him for another team. I think he's going to get traded. He's not ready, first of all. And we talked about this already last week. He's not ready. And if you call him up right now and he struggles, it's going to be the same thing that people are saying about Volpe. And so, I don't want to do that to the kid. It's unfair to him. Be like, hey, you're hitting pretty well right now in Double-A. We're calling you up because we need a left fielder. That's not fair. Not when we have Bader coming back and we know Judge will be back. It's just a matter. We don't know the timetable, but you can't do that to Pereira. If he does get called up, much like Dominguez, he needs to stay up here. They can't do to him what they've already done to Peraza and countless other prospects in the past. It's not fair. First of all, and then he's not ready as well. So if he was ready, I might be saying, okay, we'll get him up here, but he's not.
Yeah, and what's going on, Booger Brain? Yeah, McKinney will get hurt in 10 minutes. I don't know. McKinney looks, he looks like he can stay on the field. It's just a matter of the productivity is going to vary. But, Jonathan says maybe a September call-up. I don't see that either. No. I think in September, we're going to see a guy like, that might be when they bring up Peraza. you know, because I could see this team being stubborn enough and waiting that damn long. But it's, I think we'll see Dominguez before, called up before Pereira. Just to kind of give you an idea of how they look at Pereira. He's not ready, and there's no sense in rushing him. And I agree with Rob. I don't even think he's here, but after the deadline, I think he's going to be on the move. Yeah, what's going on, Booger Brain? Does you touched on this a little bit? How does it take Wells and any coach to help Volpe's change? Exactly. We talked about that earlier. We'll recap what we said real quick, but it's a shame that our coaches. It's not even a shame. It's just flat out embarrassing, and it should be a fireable offense that they did not see what a double A player saw to help Volpe. That should be fireable.
Yeah, we all know the staff isn't very good, but it's. I don't think it's necessarily the coaches. I think it's the people that. Well, it's part of it, is what the people that run this team. Because we said the same thing about Kevin Long. How is he not picking up on this guy's struggles? We said the same thing about Marcus Timms, and now we're saying about Lawson. It's an organizational thing. They feel like they have the answer, so it's just do what they tell you, and they like to use the word. We like to use the word puppets. I mean, how much more evidence do you need? The only one that doesn't seem to be a puppet is Matt Blake, because his stuff is actually working. You talked about it earlier with Clay Holmes, but look at all the other pitchers that we've had come in out of nowhere and just be good. We have the best bullpen in baseball. And I know when Nick Ramirez gave up that run last night, even Albert Abreu looked really good yesterday.
Yep.
There's no surprise that these pitchers are coming in, these guys that have high ERAs, and they're pitching well. So I mean, the hitting staff, the hitting coaches, and I know we're about to bring in Nicky here, so I know his offense is struggling as well. Maybe it's just an organizational thing for us. I don't know how it is for the Mets, but yeah, the fact that we can't pick up on a rookie, we can't go back to last year's tape. Why are you struggling? It's very alarming.
Yeah. Well, let's get Nicky in here and dive a little deeper into the Subway Series and just the way that both teams almost didn't, kept trying to hand the game off to the next guy. But Nick, how's everything been, and how did you feel about these past two games?
Hey, how's it going, guys? How you guys been? How do I feel? I feel like it was two really bad teams that just wanted to give the other team the win. I think we won the game. We won a game you guys should have won, and you guys won a game we should have won.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, it was terrible baseball.
I don't know if I wouldn't say classify it as terrible. I thought the games were entertaining. I thought from a fan's perspective, the back and forth. I really thought as sloppy. I would say it was more of a sloppy 2-game set, but it did give them. It did live up to the hype. Give a little juice that we didn't see coming in the Subway Series.
Entertaining baseball doesn't mean that it's good baseball. I mean. That was poorly. It was poorly played. How does a team give up a 5-run lead when you're supposed to be like a playoff contender? And how does a team give up a steal of home plate? It's crazy. And then you guys, you guys take the lead. You guys finally get past Verlander, and then you just give the game up. It was bad baseball.
Yeah, it's the bullpen should not have. We should have been able to hit your bullpen again.
These two managers are struggling. Both managers are struggling with the bullpens.
That's no surprise. I think Buck is incredibly overrated, and I don't like Aaron Boone. This is why I didn't want Buck when everyone was saying, give me Buck Showalter over Aaron Boone. I didn't want him because it took a year and a half for Mets fans to want this guy out the door when they were praising him. And I don't know about every Mets fan, but there were a lot of people that were very happy with him. Now there's a lot of fire Buck stuff going around. So
the feeling I have on Buck is he's a player's coach. The players love the guy, right? But you can't praise the guy for last year for making all the right moves. It seemed like every move he made was right. And you can't praise him for that and then not get on him for this season when every move he makes is the wrong move. You know, you have to have it both ways. You got to call it both ways evenly. And I just think all the moves he's making are wrong.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing with Boone. You know, Boone's had some good years. To get their first half of last year, you know, as a prime example.
Yeah,
we were on here going, we have nothing to complain about. You know, the team was clicking. Boone, you know, Boone was managing really well, and then everything went to shit. You know, and that's when, okay, it's not that we turned on it. We're just calling it as we see it. You know, and I think that's where the Mets fans are now with Buck. You know, that is being honest. It's not. I don't think they're turning on him. I think they're just calling out his deficiencies and his errors.
So last year when Clay Holmes was just dominant, you guys were unbeatable.
Yeah.
And then when he faded, Boone didn't know what to do. That's kind of what's happening this year to the Mets. Is we had that dominant closer last year, and it made things very easy for Buck. Now he gets hurt. You had to bump Robertson to the nine inning, and it's just thinned out the bullpen, and he has no room for error, but he just keeps making errors.
When you look at
right. Even look back at Girardi, he had the same issue. He just had the luxury of going to Mariano Rivera more often than not, and then he had David Robertson as his closer, and he had Soriano for that 1 year, and he had Chapman for 1 year. He had Andrew Miller. He had Chapman for a couple of years, but he had guys to go to. But when he couldn't use those guys, he was like a deer caught in the headlights. He had no idea where to go. And a lot of people forget that about Girardi. He was a terrible bullpen manager. And you're seeing Aaron Boone, even with the best bullpen in baseball, still making mistakes. So I'm not surprised. And the same thing with Buck Showalter. You lose someone like Edwin Diaz, and you're just searching for answers. They never replaced him. And I like Robertson. I'm glad to see he's doing well this year, but at times, but yeah, they look lost too. He has no idea where to go. And that's how you lose ball games. When you can't make smart bullpen decisions, it's going to cost you games. And it cost us yesterday, cost the Mets Scherzer struggled, but it's cost the Mets several times this year. It's cost us several times this year. It's very important to know how to manage a bullpen. New York baseball, two managers that don't know how to manage a bullpen.
Mm-hmm. We should have swept the Braves if it wasn't for the bullpen.
Yeah.
And Ottavino's killing us too. He's not as strong as he was last year.
Yeah, well, Ottavino's always been kind of up and down type of reliever. He had good games for us. He had terrible games for us. So when they moved on from him, I was happy. I was fine with that. If they kept him, all right, we're gonna get what we get. But one of the things that we're seeing in New York right now with both the rosters are a lot, kids. Not all the ones that deserve it, because they always hold somebody back. What are you seeing from the prospects that your team has called up from Beatty and Alvarez and those guys?
Alvarez she should be in the running for Rookie of the Year. The dude's a stud. The problem I see is we have way too many young bats that are ready to come up. Like you guys have Peraza, right? Well, go look at Mauricio's stats. The dude's tearing it up. He's ready to come up. I would just play him at second base. I know a lot of Mets fans will probably kill me for saying this, but why not kind of dangle Lindor out there? Why not dangle Lindor out there and see what you can get, if anything, and bring Mauricio up? He's ready to go. It's not like Lindor's absolutely carrying the team. He's not doing much. I know it's a huge contract. So you're probably not going to get much for him, but Beatty is good. I mean, I'm good with Beatty. Vientos is going to be all right. It's just we got a lot of young bats, not a lot of young pitching. So, there's no way that they can say any pitching about the Mets right now is young. But it's amazing how old that team got so quick. Well, I think I texted you and said, "Hey, we got a 2-year window, this year and next year, and that's it. After that, we're rebuilding."
No, that window was last year and this year.
But we had a 3-year window. We didn't do nothing last year. Now we got this year and next year, and that's it. Once Verlander and Max are gone, we're really going to be in trouble.
You're in trouble now because they're both struggling. They're both really struggling.
Honestly, I'm not too concerned with that. I think they're veterans. They're going to turn it around. Senga's pitching really well. If we could somehow get another starter in there, I'm not like giving up on the season. I'm not at all. It's just right now they're just not playing well, and I don't like when teams wait. What are we waiting for? We need bullpen help. It's obvious. Go get it. Why wait?
Yeah, you need a bullpen. We need a left fielder. What can we do?
Right? I mean,
we'll give you Abreu.
And at this point, I'd take him. I mean, we just need somebody who's going to get some outs, man. I think Scherzer will figure it out. Scherzer's not going to be this bad all year long.
I would be stunned if this was Scherzer for the whole year.
There's no way.
Yeah, he's too much of a professional. You know, he's one of those guys, just like Verlander. You know, they're those guys that you see that can just, they're age defying. It shouldn't make sense that they're still playing, but here they are. And Verlander looked pretty good. Scherzer,
you got to remember, he got a late start to the season.
Yeah, that's
so. I mean, he's probably just getting into it. I'm not at all worried about Verlander.
Yeah, I mean, Scherzer is where the worry should be, because you cannot, get rocked by that Yankee lineup your second time through. Mm-hmm. He didn't even make it to the third turn through the order. They batted around on him. That is not what Scherzer's getting paid for.
It's not like his spin rate's down. It's not like his velocity's down. He's missing spots. He'll figure it out. He's been doing this a long time. I'm not really worried about him too much. I mean, unless he's injured and he's not saying something. That's a concern you could have.
I think that's a concern as a lot of players get older, because they know that their timeline is not that much long. So they want to try to, stay on the field as long as they can. What do you think about this trade from Booger Brain here? Abreu for Canyon.
I think it's good for you guys.
Yeah, Abreu's not. He's not getting you. I mean, I know Ken. He's 35, something like that, 34. I'd take him, but he's also another righty that we don't need.
He's a professional hitter, though. He is a professional hitter. He'll get you guys some good at bats.
How much is he getting paid, though? Because that's obviously a concern for the Yankees payroll. They don't want to go over. I know we got a pretty big deal last year.
I think he's making decent money.
Yeah, I don't know if we get. I think if we go after any outfielder, it's Bellinger or Peterson maybe, and Peterson terrifies me playing the outfield. So I think it's Bellinger or bust. In all honesty, I don't think there's an outfielder out there for the Yankees. I really don't.
What about Conforto?
Rob wanted him. You were the one that was asking, in the offseason, why not kick the tires on Conforto?
He's hitting pretty well.
I'd take him in a heartbeat. I wanted the guy. I was like, go sign him. I don't care if he was hurt last year, because you can put him in Yankee Stadium. He'll hit you 30 easily. We can use his bat right now.
Mm-hmm.
Desperately can use his bat right now, and his defense isn't terrible.
No, he's a serviceable player.
Considering we've been rolling Calhoun. I mean, we've had anybody play the outfield for us this year. I'm sure Conforto can handle left. If Calhoun and Bowers can play left field for us, Conforto could too.
Hey, Rob, I got a question for you. Why were you guys in right field? Why were you playing so shallow when Nimmo hit that ball could have been caught to end the game last?
We both said that. We both said that.
What were they playing so shallow for?
No idea. I actually said that I think he thought it was a no-doubter off the bat and got a late jump on it.
When I first saw it,
he should have been playing deeper, especially in an extra inning game.
When I first saw it, I thought that his mindset was that the runner was on third and he had to throw him out at home. That was my mindset. And then I go, look, I replayed it and I was like, wait, he was on second base. I was like, there was no tag up or nothing. Why the hell was he playing so shallow?
Yeah, and the runner at second got a late start himself. He was rounding third by the time that ball. Yeah, we could have got him. That's why Tad said it, and I agree. If Judge was out there, that play's either made or we get the out at home.
If Judge is out there, he's standing at the wall and catches the ball. That's not. I couldn't. Mm-hmm. Who was that? Was that Cabrera?
No, it was
Bowers.
Bowers. It was Bowers. Yeah.
He's a first baseman, isn't he? By trade.
It's part of our problem. We have infielders playing the outfield everywhere. Cabrera, IKF, Calhoun's more of a DH than anything.
Why don't you guys bring up Peraza, play him at short, and put Volpe in center field? I'm telling you right now, that dude could be a stud in center field.
I wouldn't. I don't think they do that. They want to keep Volpe at short. But they should have Peraza up here nonetheless. I even said put Peraza in the outfield at this point because if it gets him playing time, I'd be for it. If they move everybody else to the outfield, why not him?
Now, one of the things that we were talking about in the beginning of the show, Nick, and as a baseball coach, how do you look at the whole situation with Volpe and the hitting coaches not being able to fix or even recognize his problems, where a teammate that's not even playing with him at the moment was able to look at film and figure it out?
Good question. Good question. I mean, at that level, the batter himself should really be able to figure it out himself, just watching film. At that level, at the major league level, what a baseball hitting coach is not doing that much for you. You know what I mean? You're not learning much at the major league level. You pretty much learned everything. You're that good. That's why you're there. And you should know what's wrong with your swing just on your own. And that's in my experience.
That's a fair. They should be responsible for, they should be able to recognize their own adjustments.
Now the pitching coach could come in and say, hey, this is what they're getting you out. This is how they're pitching you. This is what they're doing for you. This is how they're trying. This is their strategy of getting you out. They can help them that way. You're not going to come change the guy's swing, and he's a Major League Baseball player for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or at least pick up on something, though. Like, I don't know, the fact that a former player saw it before 3 hitting coaches did, that's what's alarming to me. But that
player probably saw a lot more swings. So he's probably watched him grow up. Your hitting coaches haven't watched him grow up. They're relying on the scouts to tell him, hey, this is what he's doing. This is how he's playing. This is what his swing looks like. Yeah. I mean,
but I do want to thank you for coming on, though, Nikki. I have to skip out now, so appreciate you coming on. It's good talking to you for a little bit. And
right,
Tats, I'll see you soon. Guys in the chat, thank you for popping in. I'll see you all soon.
Yep. Now that it's when you're looking at where do you see, from the outside looking in, how do you see the Yankees addressing the trade deadline?
We got to go get an outfielder. I know one of the big names right now out there available is Goldschmidt. I don't think he helps you guys really at all. I mean, with Rizzo,
that's a lot of money to take on too, which is also
it's a lot of money, yeah. But I mean, it's still Goldschmidt. So I mean, if you have a need for him, you would go figure out a way to get him. But you guys don't really have a need for him, unless you wanted to dump Rizzo. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really heard too many names as far as outfielders. I mean, I would maybe go make a run at Brian Reynolds again, see if you can make something happen there. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of teams that would be willing to deal at this point, and no names are really popping up. That's the biggest name I saw was Goldschmidt.
Well, I don't. They've also thrown out, with Bellinger, those guys like Rob was talking about. It's. I have no clue where this team is going, and
I'm not touching Bellinger. I wouldn't touch Bellinger if I was you guys.
No.
You saw him fade in LA where the pressure got to him. I wouldn't touch Bellinger.
Yeah. I know that. There are options out there. All I know is it's going to take a lot of creativity to get something done. And it's there might have to be that trade that hurts.
You got to give something up.
We're going to have to give up a guy that we don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I know Pereira. A lot of people want to see what's going on with him. With Spencer Jones in our system. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but just like you were saying with Mauricio, we may have to just say, all right, if we're not going to use them, let's get something for them before it's too late.
Have you guys started playing Stanton in the outfield yet? Or is he still?
No, they're afraid to.
He's still just hitting.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that they won't play him in the outfield.
They don't want him to get hurt.
But he gets hurt when he's not in the outfield. He's always said. I feel he feels like he's at his best health wise when he's playing the field, not just sitting on the bench for the whole game. All this he's never gotten hurt because of his play in the outfield. It's always sitting. He's not staying loose sitting on the bench. That's why he pulls everything.
Yeah, I mean he's a muscular dude, man. So he really does need to stay loose, and he's probably hurts. I mean, he's not a very durable guy. That's for sure.
Yeah, FJ's right. They won't even DH him 2 games in a row. It's a shame what they. I think the Yankees, and it wasn't even like when he first got here. Right from the bat they wanted him as a DH. They started this narrative that he's not an outfielder. Meanwhile, he came over from the National League where there was no DH. So how did and I know that's going at this point that's a far ways back to really keep bringing that up in discussion, but there's got to be they got to get their heads out of their ass and let this guy play baseball.
Yeah. I mean that's what you pay him to do.
You'd rather have they would rather IKF in the outfield than Stanton. That makes 0 sense whatsoever. 0 sense.
IKF shouldn't be playing for you guys, really. He shouldn't be getting really any PT. What about bullpen help? You guys think you're going to go after a piece in the bullpen?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to go after more of a starter.
Well, you're going to get Rodon back.
No, I think they're just going to. I don't because. They're going to have to figure out a way to because I don't see and a lot of fans don't see Severino coming back. There's a lot of bad blood between him and the organization because of the way they handled his injuries. Herman, he's at the end of his contract.
Herman's been pitching really well.
I know it's and I hate him as a person, but he's a great pitcher. And I think in the long run, I think, Schmidt's, going through a good stretch right now, but he just might be a long man in a bullpen, in a year or two. So I think if there's a way to solidify the rotation a little bit more, we don't even know when Rodon comes back, what Rodon we're getting. We don't know if this is just a little, bump in the road for, Cortez. So there's just so many question marks. I would focus more on the starter.
So Cortez is coming back next week, though, right?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be back.
I think that last year throwing all those innings, pitching in a winter ball, trying to ramp up for the WBC. I think he got himself tired. And for something that he's not, it's not like he's done this for a period of his career. At his age, last year is when he threw his most innings. Where most pitchers had already done that 3 years prior. Where they've had that long season. So I think that really screwed. Not that it screwed him up. I think it's starting to affect him.
You think the Yankees would be willing to give up a good chunk of change to go out and get Corbin Burns?
That's one of those trades, like I was saying, it's going to hurt.
Because I hear he's potentially on the block. They're dangling him out there. I mean, that's a pretty damn good pitcher.
Yeah, no, that trade's going to hurt a lot. That'll cost you Dominguez, guaranteed. Plus some. I mean, they're going to want 4 of our guys. Dominguez is going to be one of them. They might want Peraza. So it depends on. I think it's going to depend on where they are in the standings. It might be where.
Yeah.
My fear is. I said this earlier. I'll say it one more time before we dip out. I don't want the Yankees getting into a panic mode where we sell off our youth for, you know, now below average superstars. We don't need another. We need less Donaldsons in a deal and more Perazzas being called up. That's where the Yankees need to be, and I'm afraid that they're going to do the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, for a championship team, you guys are championship caliber, and I fully expect both New York teams to make a run deep into the playoffs, or have the potential to make a run deep into the playoffs. It's just a matter of trying to get the pieces all together. They have a solid foundation. Both teams have a solid foundation right now. It's just about filling in a couple holes. But I fully expect them to figure it out. I mean, they're too good to not figure it out, in my opinion. It's just about, what do you go out? Do you go out there and just get a couple small pieces, or do you just go swinging for one big piece that you feel like you need? You guys seem to feel like you need an outfielder, but the organization
we definitely need a left fielder. That
if you definitely need a left fielder, maybe you just go with the pitching you got and go all in on an outfielder. Yeah. Figure out there's got to be somebody out there that you could steal from somebody.
Yeah,
But what do you want out of your left fielder? Do you just want a solid fielder, or do you think you guys need a right-handed bat? What do you need in that power bat? Do you want a speed guy? Do you want someone that's going to be able to get on base consistently? I mean,
I want premier defense. That can put the ball in play, because that's what kills us in the postseason every year. Nick, you've watched it. The Yankees just cannot get that hit. And last year might have been different if we had LeMahieu in the lineup. Might have changed the outcome. There's no crystal ball to know for sure. Yeah. But that the postseason, it's always by a run or two. It's not like we get lit up every game, and they're just completely out of it. So yes, and a lefty bat. Not just a left fielder, but a lefty bat. We also need. We need more lefties in our lineup for that stadium. But I don't.
You should have brought Benintendi back. You should have brought Benintendi.
No, they made him an offer. He turned it down.
Hey, then you make a bigger offer. Yeah. He's hitting pretty well too. He's not hitting for any power this year, but he's hitting for pretty decent average.
Yeah, I think he was up to almost like the last I saw it was a while ago. I'm sure he's hit one by now, but he was at like 350 something plate appearances without a home run.
I don't think he's hit one this year.
I haven't. I
could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's hit one.
That's wild.
But that's the type of guy you just need somebody that's going to get on base, basically.
Yeah.
See, that's what I want. I don't need a big power hitter. I just want somebody that's going to hit for a good average. McNeil's not. I mean, he's hitting like 273. I need another bat in there that's going to hit 300, man. I don't need this big power. I just need somebody that's going to be on base, get that clutch hit when you need a clutch hit. That's what you need.
Well, at least you have Nimmo for that.
Nimmo's playing great, and I was used to. You remember in the offseason, I wasn't too high on signing him to that big deal, but he's basically behind Pete. He's our next big clutch hitter.
Yeah, I remember. We would text it back and forth, and you would said that you would propose because you needed the pitching because your guys were hurt. We needed offense. I'm like, well, what if we see? And this was his suggestion, chat, not mine. He goes, well, what about Cole for Nimmo? But and I'm like, yes. I really hope you were joking, but that was funny because it would solve both our problems.
Yeah. I still like Nimmo.
But there's no way. There's no giving up on Cole.
I don't like Nimmo as a leadoff hitter, though. I mean, I like him as a ball player. He hustles. He does a lot of things well. I just don't like him in the leadoff spot. I don't think he hits for high enough average. He doesn't get on. I mean, he gets on base a lot, but it's nothing exciting. Like, he doesn't spark the team, which I'm wrong because this year he is doing that. He is getting the big hit. He is sparking the team. Whereas last year, that you didn't get that from him. You really didn't. I mean, you got the walks. You got the hustle down to first base, but he wasn't getting those clutch hits where he's sparking the team, getting the team rolling. And that's where I think they lean on Lindor to do that, but he doesn't do that. Lindor doesn't do that. He's kind of he's way back in Cleveland. He was so exciting. He's not that exciting with us.
No, he's not that spark plug you thought you were getting.
No, he's not.
No, not at all.
And he's got a huge contract.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the other part of the problem is these players, they get paid and they're like, okay, and they kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit.
Well, look what the Braves are doing. They're signing these young guys, not even barely 22, 23 years old, to these massive deals.
Yeah.
Right? Locking them up. And they're young and they're still eager to be good. And it's a kind of a good little blueprint of what to do.
Yeah.
It's working for them.
It's a risk. To
but you got look at Volpe and Brett Beatty and Alvarez, all these young guys. If you lock them up now, you don't have to lock them up later.
Well, we had always said that they should have locked up Judge after getting Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
they should have just put a contract on the table for him and just gotten it over with. But no, they want to ride out the arbitration. They want to nickel and dime. Their players, and a lot of teams are starting to get away from that. I think the Yankees now are becoming that dinosaur where they don't want to lock up these young guys, too early.
If you think about it, like so, Acuna and Albies contracts were massive when they signed them, right? Well, in 5 years, they're getting bargains. I mean, the Braves are getting a bargain with those guys.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing with superstars like Stanton. You look at Stanton's contract when it was signed. It was like that is ridiculous.
Insane. Yeah.
Meanwhile, his salary, is in the middle of the pack.
Yep.
Right now, but everybody still wants to scream about his money that Miami's still paying some of. But it's wild that eventually it'll all balance out.
Yeah.
And the rest of the league will catch up, and it won't. That a lengthy contract like that ain't going to hurt so bad.
Well, it takes the owners being willing enough to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's true too. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The Yankees are going to be dinosaurs trying to write out all these arbitration years on every single player.
Yeah.
Nickel and diamond on taking them to the arbitration hearings. Trying to tell them, look, we want you to win for us, but this is this is what you're not doing and why we don't want to pay you. It's such bad business. I think that's screwed up. I think that's one of the reasons why Torres is struggling. I think he's like, look, they don't want me here. What am I playing for? It's that's why I don't see Torres being here long term either. I think Torres might be somebody.
He's having a good year too, though.
He's average. He could be playing so much better. There are so many moments where his focus is gone.
Yeah.
Where it's like one of those, in the 80s, Billy Martin would have ripped you off the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those types of moves. But, Nicky, listen, we got to wrap things up. Thanks for coming on, hanging out a little bit.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. And to everybody in the chat, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this out. And as always, wear your pinch out your pride and play hard.